The world-famous detective, Jack Watson, lived in a small town with a population of 400 people. He was a genius at solving difficult crimes and never gave up until the culprit was brought to justice. He had an old, trusty ally, Joan Roberts, an ex-cop who always backed him up in his cases. One particular day, Jack received a mysterious call from a person claiming to be the brother of an infamous outlaw.
He asked Jack to come and help solve the case of his brother's murder as soon as possible.
Without thinking twice, Jack and Joan set off on an exciting adventure to find the killer. The two sleuths drove to the small, desolate village where the crime had taken place. As they arrived, they were greeted by a strange man with a wild look in his eyes. He introduced himself as the deputy sheriff of the village and started sharing his version of the events that had occurred. Jack and Joan were intrigued by the mysterious circumstances surrounding the crime. They went on to interrogate the local people who had been present when the victim was killed.
Everyone had a different story, but none of them was credible enough to lead to a breakthrough.
Jack spent days trying to connect the pieces of evidence he had gathered so far, while Joan kept watch on the suspects. One night, while they were having dinner in a roadside diner, they overheard some men talking about the victim. This new lead could be the one they needed to unlock the case. Jack, along with Joan, quickly followed the men to a shady bar on the outskirts of town. Peering through a window, they saw the men exchanging suspicious glances with each other. They realized that this was the key evidence they were looking for and decided to risk entering the bar. Jack and Joan bravely entered the bar, ready to tackle any trouble that may cross their path. Inside, they found just 3 men, the suspected killers of the victim. After a heated conversation, the 2 detectives managed to get a confession out of one of the men. Armed with the confession, Jack and Joan took the men into custody and drove back to the village. On their way, they got a press conference call asking for their response to the case. Jack proudly declared that they had caught the culprits red-handed, and the media was all praise for them. The news of Jack and Joan's achievement spread like wildfire throughout the country, and the duo became international celebrities overnight. Soon enough, Jack and Joan were receiving invitations from all over the world to help solve some of the most baffling mysteries. The world-renowned detectives accepted the challenge and set out on an exciting journey around the continent, unraveling one mystery after another. From a missing heir in France to a stolen painting in Italy, no case was too complex for the pair to solve. Secret meetings with mafia bosses, underground chases in ancient tunnels, thrilling shootouts in hidden alleys, mysterious signals decoded in Swiss labs. Jack and Joan experienced it all while hunting down the culprits.
The duo always stayed a step ahead, prepared for any surprise that came their way.
Word of mouth kept spreading, and soon enough, Jack and Joan became national superstars. Newspapers dedicate pages to their stories. TV channels show special episodes featuring their adventures, and merchandise, ranging from toys to mugs, started bearing their names. What further added to the duo's fame was the increasing number of unsolved cases piling up with each passing day. Whether it was finding a missing witness or nabbing ruthless assassins, nothing seemed to be beyond Jack and Joan's reach. Jack and Joan were unstoppable and gained global repute as the go-to detectives for extremely tangled cases. Though nature offered its own surprises, nothing fazed Jack and Joan, who always managed to keep their focus and stay level-headed. As the accolades and appreciation came pouring in from all corners, Jack and Joan began playing a more active role in advocating for justice. Whenever it was needed, they did not shy away from taking part in protests and rallies to defend the rights of those oppressed unfairly. Jack and Joan traveled across the world and solved numerous complicated crimes. But no matter how dangerously these missions got, they emerged victorious each time and received loud cheers wherever they went. No matter how successful they became, Jack and Joan retained their humble nature and kept their feet firmly grounded on the ground. Whenever they felt stuck in a situation, Joan's wit and Jack's logic came together to guarantee their victory. The press continuously followed the dynamic duo wherever they went, trying to capture every single moment of their astonishing feats. People proposed artistic representations of the detectives to be made, and Jack even featured in movies, which opened to wide reception. Their relentless work paid off eventually when the President of the United States honored them with the highest award for their outstanding services for the country.
It was an emotional moment for them both, and it marked the highest point in their story so far.
Jack and Joan continued to take on challenges, thrilling audiences of all ages with their masterful detective skills. Their extraordinary deeds served as inspiration to many children and educated them about standing firm against injustice and crime. Jack and Joan will continue to be remembered as outstanding figures in the history of detectives.